Hey guys, it's Ann here. I'm actually in my kitchen today, but it's because I usually use this island, kind of like this bar area, to really plan things out. And in a second, we're gonna don't worry, I'm gonna show you what's down here. It's really my big whiteboard, and this is something that I've been dying to do for you guys because a lot of people don't get necessarily how to plan out a launch. So this is your first launch with me video where I'm going to go through some actual pieces to a real launch, and hopefully you'll get some insights on what to do when you're starting to plan a launch. Now, this is not the marketing strategy part of planning and putting together a launch plan or a marketing plan. This is solely what I do, like the very practical steps that you can do even when you're first planning your launch and kind of just putting all the pieces together. And you'll see what I mean in a second. But some tools that I use. Sorry, my kitchen is not that glamorous. It's very farmhouse-ish, and there are dishes in the sink. I can see them back there. That's pretty funny. So I have my Sharpie, which I'm not going to write on the whiteboard with. That would be horrible. I've got my Post-its, and I've also got my calendar here. So this is the planner that I'm using right now. If you guys have been following me, you know that I like different planners. This is the one I'm using now. It's an arc style, and I have printed some inserts out and a planner from my dear friend and planner designer and productivity guru. She's got many talents, but basically she created this great planner, and I may be looking at it during our video just to kind of look at the dates, and eventually you'll see what I'm going to do with it. So actually, let me open to that page. Okay, perfect. So let's just dive in. I'll see you when I turn the camera around. Okay, so here we are on my whiteboard. So the very first thing that I do when I'm planning out a launch, whether I'm relaunching an existing product or creating something new or launching something that I've recently created, is I set my inventory. So when I set my inventory, what that means is I go through everything that I've got. Now I'm talking like, obviously, if this is a relaunch, you want to go through the actual product itself. So if it's an online course, you might look at your members area, see if it needs updating. You might look at whatever pieces of the actual product. So product, review it. Review, maybe start an upgrade or update list. Okay, so there you go for the inventory. The other things in the inventory is I want to check my list size. So we do that. I also check to see who's on the interest list specifically. Is that working? Do I want to update that? Do I want to update that page? And if you go to fearlesslaunching.com, that page I've wanted to update for a very long time, but I haven't, only because I haven't been happy with results just yet of updating that. So you go through inventory, literally anything from blog posts that perhaps can be turned into emails. I mean, I look at content. I look at content that doesn't seem like it's related, but I'll do that as well. So I do a complete kind of content review. Then there is the partners. I'll take a full inventory of what happened the last time around on the launch, where I want to know, like, were there certain partners that did better than the others? And when I do that, then I can identify who are my top kind of VIP partners. And that's what I did really this last time that I did Fearless Launching, is I identified 3 people who were worth more to me because honestly, they care enough about Fearless Launching to promote it to their people very generously. So those people, those are my peeps. So I made them VIPs. I actually gave them a higher percentage too. So it's really good just to kind of, if you did a a launch, let's say a post-mortem your last time around, look at the post-mortem, see what your stats were. And let's say you have graphics. Do you have graphics you can reuse? Do you have emails? Do you, so you see this inventory list, and you can get this inventory list. Actually, I think I have it in any of my programs. So if you go to fearlesslaunching.com and you join that program, if you are in the launch walkthrough, you get the launch inventory there as well. So I highly recommend, though, just going through what you have. And, it becomes easier as you launch more and more. Like if you launch and relaunch, you'll notice that this list gets really big. So I just highly recommend doing that, because we often think we have to create all this new stuff. So let's say for me, Fearless Launching has been on Wishlist Member forever. And honestly, I've been using I haven't updated Optimized Press because I'm afraid to, because of the stories that I've heard about Optimized Press and the things that people have had difficulty with. So what I am going to do, though, is try out Zippy courses, which is something that I purchased several months ago, and I've been meaning to check it out. So that is one of the main pieces that I want to do. Also, regarding the list and the lead into the list, the opt-in for people who are interested in learning about launching, that opt-in has changed over time, and now what I know is I want it to be more of a cheat sheet to start out with, something super easy, something where you can get a quick win right away. And in fact, it may already be over on my site, so go check that out, annesamoylove.com / actually just go there, and there should be a graphic in the sidebar, and I'll also put it in the video notes below this video. So stay tuned for that. But this is how I like to go in. Easy mode. Like, how can you get people into things easily? Now, also for me is I want to do a webinar, but I've done many webinars for Fearless Launching. But guess what? I've been going through them, and I realized, guess what? I don't have the webinars that I have. They're not going to work. So I have to create a whole new webinar. So that goes on my next list, but I'm just going to put this over to the side and say webinar. But you see, the very first step you need to take is really taking this inventory of everything you might already have. Do you have graphics that can promote the program? Do you have blog posts that you can add a call to action at the end to? Do you have other content, other landing pages that might be great lead-ins to your program or your product or your service? Do you have emails that you've already written? Maybe content that's in past emails you can just kind of pull out and use in your launch emails, or to use as your blog posts. So I hope you see where I'm going with this. So basically, you just want to know, like, what do I have in my till of things? How is your Instagram going? How, so let me just put that down here as well. So you want to do a full social media survey. Do you have a private group that you're working in? Do you have an Instagram account? Do you post things already on Pinterest? Now, this is not a to-do list. This is what you've already got going on. That's what's important. You need to show what you've already got going on. All right. So next, let's cut and let's go right over to the next piece, which is your goal setting. So this was your inventory. This is step numero uno. All right, so let's get to step 2. So before I go to step number 2, which is setting your goals, step number 1, I did miss one big thing. So when you're taking inventory, I also want you to take inventory not just of your promotional partners, but of people who have helped you in the past, who will help you in the future. So look around you at the people who may be on your team. Those people are part of your inventory. And also maybe even your past clients, maybe your current students if you're relaunching something. So look at people as another piece of your inventory. All right, so step 2. This is only going to be three steps that I'm going to give you today. But step 2 really is setting your launch goals. And this is going to be different for everybody. So I'm going to put this way back here so you guys can see. This is going to be different for everybody, depending on what you're launching. So let's say you're launching something that's a paid product. You obviously need a sales goal. If you're doing a paid product, you're also going to want to know how much your list is going to grow. Don't put percentage here, put an actual number. Where do you want your list to be after the launch? And then another one, which I like, is just to look at growth on social media. I think it's really nice to see that your reach has grown as a result of a launch, whether you did paid traffic or not. You will see that there's a lot of side benefits to doing a launch. And even if someone doesn't buy your exact offer, they may actually end up buying another product, which is sometimes what happens. And it's good to have different things at different levels. That's why I actually really do believe in having different levels of a product so that you can appeal to people with different budgetary concerns, but still be able to give them the value. So sales, list growth on social media. Maybe you want a specific number of page views. Now, the next one I'm going to share with you is conversion. And the reason why I'm going to include this is because if you're doing a relaunch, I hope that means you know what your conversion rate was last time. All that is how many people visited you, how many people purchased. Do the math and figure out what percentage of people who visited became customers. In that case, then you might say, okay, last time I got a 1% conversion. By the way, 2 to 3% is a very common conversion. In fact, those are good conversions, but you might be able to get higher depending on your engagement with your audience. So that's another topic for another day. But regardless, it's important to look at how you did before and say, okay, this time I want to shoot for 5%. Or, you know what? I did 10% on my webinar last time to sales. This time I want to do 20%. So those are some things you can think about as you are creating your launch. And by the way, this is why I always say track what you're doing. Keep it easy. Do Bitly links. Have Google Analytics installed on your site. Some of those things are some really super easy things you can do to make sure you actually have information the next time you launch. And then let's talk about other types of growth. So if you're doing a free product, let's say you're just making your site live for the first time. It's important to have good expectations of what to expect. So you might say, you know what, I do have products up, but what I really want is for X number of people to download my opt-in. Or I really want to see, I don't want to worry so much about percentage, but I really want to make sure that I have an engaged audience and that I get at least 5 comments on those new posts. What I would say if you have something free is still create those tangible, measurable, let's see if I can spell this, results. And what I would say is also to set dates with those. Like, I'm going to launch this by this date, whether it's free or paid. So those are your goals. Now the goals process is going to be different for everybody, and you might actually feel like you don't have any idea how many sales you want, but all of these things are important. I will go into more of these in the future. In fact, I do have a webinar coming up. I will put that information down in the show notes because really what I'm sharing today are the basic first steps. This is what I do when I sit down with my clients and we talk about what do you have going on? Who's on your team? What kind of, what are your assets? Let's take inventory. Let's set some goals. What are some basic dates? What are we hoping to achieve by that time? And then once we do that, the final thing that we start doing is we're not even up to the schedule point, but we might be, is to talk about how. How are we going to do that? And the how really is your first chance to just brainstorm how you see your launch. So that might mean you say, you know what, Ann, I'm going to do a webinar. Great. Or you know what, Ann, I want to do a blog series. I don't want to do a live call, but I do have this other masterclass that I've already created and I'd like to use that. Or I'd like to use this video, basically a video workshop that people can download so that they understand what the product is about. And, depending on what you said in your inventory, you might have some pieces here that you can just reuse. But it's important you just kind of list out, how are we going to achieve this? Okay, are we going to use Facebook ads? Are you going to talk mostly to your newsletter list? So you just start writing it all out. Write it all out how you want to do it. And the how are really channels. Those are the different channels. Hopefully this isn't too frustrating for you. These are the different channels where you're going to be sharing about your launch. So how are you going to reach people? Are you going to reach them through a webinar? Maybe a series of webinars? Maybe JV webinars? Are you going to do a blog series? Are you going to do an email series? Are you going to use an already recorded video workshop to get people to watch that? And then are you going to have like a buy button below that? Are you going to use a newsletter? Are you going to use Facebook ads? What channels are you using? So this is an ongoing conversation, but it's good to kind of figure out what those channels are first, because I think that allows you to just immediately have a to-do list. The channels become your to-do list. Okay, well, if I'm going to do a webinar, I need a landing page, or maybe if I'm using lead pages, I need a lead page, a thank you page, and a replay page. And I need to write the whole email sequence. Just a side note, there's a great resource for people creating webinars that Lead Pages has. You don't have to sign up for it. It's just a full page of the video tutorials in how to set up your webinar. And it also actually talks about how to create the webinar, how to market the webinar, and whether you use Lead Pages or not. So maybe you do that. So maybe for the blog series, you say, okay, well, I've got to decide on what the content is. I've got to decide which days it's coming out. I've got to outline the content. I've got to maybe get the content copywritten. Got to make some graphics. So these start telling you what your to-do list is going to be like. Now, as you can see, I'm listing like multiple things under each one. So I kind of like to go the easy route and say, you know what? I'm going to do my normal blog content. So I'm not going to do a blog series. And I'm going to do a live webinar because those have worked well for me in the past. And it will become a video workshop, but it's going to be more of an on-demand video. And then I'm going to definitely use my newsletter to tell people about the webinar. And yeah, I think I will use Facebook ads for that. Also, just because I'm on there a lot, I'm going to use Instagram to tell people what's coming. And I'm going to also be doing my launch scopes to let people know that it's happening there as well. And literally, this could be it for you. This might be all you need. But it's up to you. You might not want to use Periscope. You might not want to use Instagram. Maybe you just want a simple Facebook ads leading to the webinar. You don't even want to tell your list. This is all up to your decision. So those are the absolute first three things that I would do starting today if you can. And if you want a cheat sheet of these three things, I'm going to send you over to my blog, and you can look in the comments below, and you'll see where those links are so that you can get this, these first three steps first of all. But not only that, which is great, you're going to be able to sign up for the webinar where I'm going to give you the next 10 steps. And these really are going to be a mix of how to schedule, how to work with people, how to work with partners, how to find out what your people want. Those are the marketing goods that you need. But just a second, let me tell you a little bit more about that. All right, everyone. Okay, so those are your 3 steps. Take inventory of what you've already got done. Set some goals based on that inventory, based on what you really, why you really want to do this launch, whether it's a free launch or a paid launch, and then start brainstorming what you're going to actually do, how you're actually going to make that happen in the form of how are you going to get people to see your sales page or your offer? Are you going to do a webinar? Are you going to do an email series? You're going to do a blog series? What about a 30-day challenge? You get to decide that, and you decide how simple it is or how complex it is. And that all depends on your dates, which is another goal that you need to set as well, is like, I want this to be out there by this date. Once you set that date, those goals become really easy to just say, well, what's possible within this period of time? Okay, what's up next? So while these 3 things are super basic, almost to any project that you might undertake in your business or your life, I'm going to be diving into the next 10 steps that you're going to take to create and launch successfully. So if you're ready to launch and you just want to know, okay, Ann, give me my first 10 steps, then you are going to love a launch workshop that I'm putting together. The link to it is in the show notes below here, or the comments, wherever you're looking at this. And I just want to invite you to come, because this is going to be perfect for you if you're launching for the first time. Even if you're not launching for the first time, if you've just been kind of showing up, opening the doors and launching that way, that's cool too. But here's another approach to doing it, which will be less stressful and potentially more successful, depending on how much you bite off in your launch plan. Anyways, all the details for this live class are in the show notes below. My goal is to do this class as many times as you need me to over the next few months. So if you can't make it this time, or you miss out depending on when you're watching this video, still go to that link and sign up, because I will make sure to tell you when the next workshop is going to be. I hope that you enjoyed this video today. I know it was a little bit longer and it was a little different than I usually do, but my goal here really is to help you get your projects, your launches, your products, your blogs off the ground and running. And sometimes a little bit of planning and a little bit of intentional thinking and intentional brainstorming. Wow, that's a new one. That's all it takes to get you to that next step. So come on over to the launch workshop with me, and I will see you there. I'm so excited to teach this class, and I think you will be so happy you came. All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.